Okay, modified Bollinger Bands. Now, these are a little tricky instrument. The purpose of this indicator is to trigger and to have trade identification. If the price is trading above the top of the top line, this denotes an area of interest in selling. If it's below the bottom line, it denotes interest in selling. Things to watch out for. This indicator can take several minutes to load. I have it on here, and what it does, this is the Bollinger Band right here. Let's take this indicator off. Let's just grab it. The one's called the D zone. If we pull this on here, what it does is it takes, let's pretend this dotted line is the current bar right here. So you would take the current bar, you'd slide back 24 hours, and you'd find out where resistance and support is. You'd slide back another 24 hours and find out going forward in time where resistance and support formed. Now it can't be behind you. And then it tells you what it thinks the new range is going to be. It does that 20 times. Now, all this does, this is not, this is where resistance will form. So usually resistance forms higher up here. So all this is a good place to put your stop. It's showing a volatility increase, a volatility decrease, a volatility increase, a volatility decrease, which is interesting. If we have an increase in volatility, we'll have a smaller range. If we have a and vice versa, an increase in volatility will have a larger range. Okay, so all it's used for stops. It's used for stops to calculate out, the volatility that's coming in. Our very first video that we had under vocabulary deals with this quite a bit, and this technique in how to set it up. Okay, so what the purpose was, that this gives us the inputs, well, not the Keltner channel, they're the same. It's how far back it goes. It's a Bollinger Band. There's a little typo. This indicator is really used during slow time trading, and will stay a little bit in sync with when the volatility comes. It's designed during the evening to say, okay, volatility is going to spike. Well, why? Maybe a market's opening that you're missing. What's happening? So it's just showing you the trading range that it thinks it could go into. Here's support. Here's resistance. Here's resistance. Here's support. It shrunk. It didn't quite cover it. But, I mean, this is 2 standard deviations. You can always change this up here to the inputs and go, instead of 2 standard deviations, calculate it on 1 standard deviation. There, it'll get much, much, much closer to the market if you do that. You don't have to calculate it on 2 standard deviations at all. So it starts to shrink it up over the average. It takes a standard deviation of the trading ranges. All right. So another thing to be cautious of on these types of indicators, it's much better to go in here and go to template. There's a template I always keep called clean. Clean off the template. It cleans off everything that's on the chart. Then switch your time frames, and then reapply the indicator and set it back on, because you need to make sure the data's there before it starts to calculate it. So I usually take it off, and then you could go down through here. These are development ones with different settings on them. And then you could go in here and let it run. Now, the more, it needs more and more and more and more and more data. So it can take several minutes sometimes to load like that because of the way it is. That's where I'm programming a little bit weak, but I need to work through just speeding it up to check it out and see what's happening. All right, so it can take several minutes for it to load up. But we'll jump to the next indicator.